team is made up of 6th grade, Alyssa Starr and Heidi Shimamoto. Alyssa teaches at Union and Heidi teaches here at Dartmouth. Is that correct?
Yes.
7th grade is Beth Shaw and Abe Goldman. And then myself, I'm Dave Hill, and this is Jennifer Reynolds. And I teach here at Dartmouth, and she teaches 8th grade, and I teach 8th grade here at Dartmouth. The breakout sessions. I don't know why that's green, by the way. I saw that. I didn't make that green. It's just green. So we're gonna then break out after we're done with our mini presentations. We're gonna break out. I think 6th grade is gonna be over here. 7th grade is gonna be over here. And 8th grade, if you're wanting to do 8th grade, you're gonna come to my classroom. We're gonna go down to room 205, and we're gonna have a breakout session. We're gonna do a mini lesson as if your students were experiencing that lesson, so you get to kind of experience what they get to experience. We'd like a little bit of a show of hands. We've kind of already done this, but how many of you are going to go to the 6th grade sessions? All right, the 7th grade sessions, and then the 8th grade sessions. We got a couple of 8th grade. All right,
Private.
good. Yeah, you can get a private lesson. I did want to introduce a couple of our dignitaries today. Mrs. Clay is here. Denise Clay. She's our superintendent.
Thank you for coming, and thank you to our wonderful educators for providing this outstanding opportunity.
Dr. Anna Lomas. She's our vice principal here at Dartmouth Middle School.
Welcome. The next one will be Dr. Parents at you.
Sarah Jalini. She works at our district office. I don't know your exact title though.
That's okay. Director of Learning and Innovation.
Director of Learning and Innovation, and Joe Ayala is back here on the video camera back here. So these are our dignitaries, our district administrators. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Jennifer Reynolds, and she will present our first presentation.
Okay, so I thought I'd talk tonight about what CPM looks like in the classroom. It's not like it was when we went to school, right? When we went to school, we would often listen to a teacher present and take notes, and then do a problem set of practice problems, practicing a certain skill in mathematics. And if I'm being too presumptuous, that's probably how most of you learned as well. Am I right? Okay. So students now have a little bit of a different, mindset. First of all, I wanted to share this quote by Ben Franklin. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, and involve me and I will learn. So learn by doing. This is what we're going to be doing with CPM. Come on in. All right. So the daily class structure is no longer, take out your notebooks and take notes and then practice problems. I do, we do, you do, kind of thing. Instead now, it's an intro or a launch, like a hook. This is what we're going to do today. We get this scenario set before us. And then students problem solve most of the class period at table groups. So as you can see, they're working, this is how they spend most of their time working through problems with their table mates, with manipulatives, with a scenario set out in front of them. I circulate the entire time helping them, working with small groups of kids at a time. And then I bring the class to a closure at the end of the day where now that I've learned all the things that my kids are able to do and all the kind of things that came up that class period, I can button up understanding and I can maybe have them take a few notes at that time to kind of make sure that they thoroughly understand what the goal was that day. They spend time communicating, reasoning, explaining, arguing their point. These are skills that our kids are going to need no matter what their jobs are in the future. These are, we're helping build kids that are going to be able to fill those jobs that haven't been invented yet by teaching them these skills. So I love this picture of these students working through this problem together. This is what happens in my class.
Those are your students, right?
Yeah, these are my students that I'm showing. And they all have their photo release form here. This is students explaining their work. This is what they have to do. They have to demonstrate the learning daily. So I can see in them what's happening in their minds. It's not a mystery anymore. And we are to Abe. I know they almost called
Thanks,
you.
Mr. Reynolds. I'm Abe Goldman. I teach 7th grade math at Union. You guys are so lucky you get to do math tonight. Okay, on your own time. Very interesting. So the layout of the book, you guys should hopefully know by now that CPM, the textbook, is all online. And this is sort of a screenshot of what your student would see if we started with chapter 2. And it gives them a nice opening. It'll give you like a little what's coming up for chapter 2, which I highly recommend. You know, it's good for the students, also maybe good for you if you're working with your student through homework. It'd be good to just check out, okay, where are we going here? And really what I want to talk most about is the core problems and the layout of the problems. And Mrs. Reynolds was talking about, this might not be the type of problem you're used to seeing in a math class. And we'll read a little bit of this. This is, how can I build it? Composing integers. And Cecil is an acrobat in a local circus. His job is to move across a tightrope from point A to point B while blindfolded. He can only move using distances you tell him to move in your instructions. He needs to reach the end of the tightrope, point B, to take his bow and go down a ladder. Assume the platforms on both sides of the tightrope extend infinitely. Cecil may go past the ladder, however, if he does, make sure he turns around and goes back towards the ladder. Your task, work with your team to find different combinations of lengths in parts A through E below, which we can't see, and get Cecil safely from exactly point A to exactly point B. Now what this does is it creates a connection to the problem. If you have any 7th graders, parents that are in my class, if you mention Cecil, you'll probably get a groan. But they know what you're talking about, and it comes back, you know, we did about 4 lessons with Cecil, and it's all about adding positive and negative integers. And 7th grade uni, we taught CPM last year, and we introduced proportional relationships with Gustavo's savings account and buying Havarti sheets. And CPM spirals, which we'll talk about later. So we didn't talk about proportional relationships for a while. And then like a month, 2 months later, we started talking about, we brought up the concept again. And my students are like, oh, like the cheese thing? You know, and they develop a connection to these core problems that you wouldn't have if it's, okay, we're going to solve for X. You're going to do, you know, these 20, you're going to add these 20, you know, integers up and get an answer. Another really cool thing with CPM is the tools. There's a lot of great probability tools. There's some graphing and statistics tools. We're not going to go through these, but you can just drag them on. We use them in class. They can use them on their homework. You can create the spinner however you want and try it. You know, it's good for experimental probability. Again, we're just talking about like sort of discovering the ideas on their own. Creates a much stronger connection to the materials. Things to play around with all this stuff. And then, what I think as a really math nerd is really cool is the graphing and statistics stuff. I just put a random number of plots and it gives me a histogram. And if I hit one button, it gives me a box plot. And if I hit another button, it gives me the one variable statistics, the mean, the Q1, the median. And then I can even get more advanced. I can get the stem plot, which we cover all that stuff in 7th grade. They get to actually see it here and manipulate and put their own data and explore that.
Hey, I get to talk about the favorite subject, homework. And it's not called homework. So if you look in the textbook, you'll see that there's a section called review and preview, and that's what we do for homework. You'll notice that the problems, the mixture problems, is really different than what you've seen before. The problems are basically the first couple, 1 or 2, deal directly with the lesson that we did in class that day. The rest of the problems are kind of mixed from things that we've done before. So all year we're going to be coming back to concepts that we've already done. And the beauty of that is that it gets to the end of the year and it's not like, what? We did that in September, I can't remember that. They continually come back to the content. That's called spiraling the content. And mixed-based review is when they have a problem set or they take a quiz. It might be the content that we did as well as things that we've already done that year. So that's what it looks like in the book too. So homework help. One of the cool things about the e-book is that the kids have access to homework help. And so you'll notice that the problems have this red link on there, and they can click on the link, and this is just a screenshot, so I'll have to. When they go to homework help, it looks like that. That's the problem. And right here it says hint. Okay, so they're a little stuck. They don't know what to do. They can just push hint. It'll give them one hint. It says for this problem, try dividing 48 by different numbers or any quotients whole numbers. So it's asking them questions instead of just giving them information. And then also, if they're really stuck, it will give them the answer. And that's
see the students from Homework Help have a lot of support. But what about you guys? Because this is new for you as well. So there is parent support for you. So CPM gives free parent support on the problems. They give you more problems that you can do with your student. So there is a lot of support. 2 links we're going to talk about, and they could go to the same place. First is the math.unionsd.org. This one is a great website. It talks about elementary math. It talks about middle school math for our school district. All the links from CPM are in that Union website, and I'll show it to you in just a minute. So if you can only remember one website for math, definitely remember this top one. Also, if you have any CPM or program questions, that's also a good link to go to because there's a parent feedback link. And so that is a great link to click on to give your feedback, and you'll get an email with a response back. The second one is the CPM website, and I'll show you what that'll look like through the Union website. So if you click on, this is the math, so this is just a website just about math. You can see the top talks about Eureka, which is the elementary school math, and it's awesome. Then you're going to go to CPM 6.8, and there's a lot of links here, so I'm going to walk you through a couple of them. The student login page is where the students go to log in, and so you could click on that with your student. They should already have it bookmarked, but that is how they could get to their student login page if necessary. Second one is the Common Core State Standards. So the CPM textbook does follow them, but for some reason, if you want to look at a whole 6th grade year of standards, that's where they are. And then if you click on math resources, there's some great outside CPM, not related to CPM, but math resources for your students. So there's math facts on there. So if you want your student to do some extra work, that might be a great resource for you guys to use. But for the parent guides and resources for CPM, you're going to go to the very bottom, and you're going to click on the grade level of your student. So for example, if you clicked on Math 6, it's going to take you to the CPM website. So this is the website below the Union one that if you want to go directly to here is where it will take you. And this has a lot of support for parents. So any grade level, the beginning page will look like this. There's an introduction and overview, a lesson structure, so kind of how the course and each lesson, which is a lot of what we talked about today. But then if you go to the left-hand side, there's this lovely thing called parent guides. And so you could download the whole entire parent guide, download it to your desktop and save it forever, or you could just go by chapter. So for example, 6th grade, across the board, we're all in chapter 2. So if your student is doing homework, or next week they're studying for a test and they are really stuck on some core problems in chapter 2, you could go to the chapter 2 of the parent guide. And these are some 3 really big topics that are prominent in chapter 2 for 6th grade. So we talked about stem and leaf plots, we talked about multiplication with generic rectangles, and then that leads us into distributive property. So if you clicked on any of those, it would take you to this document with example problems, some vocab, so what the distributive property is, some example problems, some problems for them to work on, and the answers. So this is a great way for, especially for studying, or if even on homework. Homework's about 3 to 4 problems a night. They're really not understanding distributive property or generic rectangles. You can go to the parent guide, and this is a great resource for them to work on some more problems. Sometimes if they're done early or in Homework Center, I'll have them go here because it's a great resource with the answers for them to go to. And then there's also parent tips, so you can get to parent tips from the CPM website as well. And all that is just little weekly tips that you could do with your student. Some things you could be saying. And when they're struggling, what do you say? Because you know you don't want to just give them an answer. So this is also, and it's still on the CPM website, a great resource for you as well. The biggest thing is that you should expect your student to struggle in CPM. It's good. It is a good thing. It's just how much do they struggle at home for homework. They will get more used to it. I feel that our students are already getting more used to reading through those word problems and feeling more comfortable with that. But in case, there is support for you guys as well, which is awesome. And last but not least, Mrs. Shaw.
Okay, my topic is assessment. And the tests that your children take this year are going to look different than they have in the past, because it's not about calculating the answers anymore. It's about why. Why do things work? We did just a quick little quiz this week about -2 times -3 is +6. And I asked why, and the kid said, because 2 negatives make a positive. And I said, that's not good enough anymore. You have to tell me why. Why 2 negatives make a positive? Show me a picture. So the tests are a little bit different. They mirror the new SBAC standardized test that they'll take in May, so they get used to seeing the same type of problems. DOK stands for depth of knowledge. That's a term that defines the type of questions there are. And in the past, on the old CST test, most of the questions were DOK 1 or 2, which I'm going to show you in a minute what that means. And now we're getting more into the deeper level questions, the 3s and the 4s. What's unique about CPM assessments is that it's not saying what they can master at the end of the chapter. In fact, less than half the test is going to be what they learned in that chapter. Only 40% will be what they learned in that chapter, and the rest of the 60% is what came in the chapters before. So that same spiraling review comes through everything. And it's interesting, maybe they bombed a question on the test, and guess what? It's coming back on the next test. And maybe they get it right that time. And that's kind of exciting to see, because you get to see some growth. CPS, this is their mantra, mastery takes time. They're very big on that. You can't master something in a short period of time. It takes months, maybe even years, to master a topic. That's why they keep coming back to it. We do something called a team assessment, which is kind of a misnomer. It's more like a challenge problem activity that they do together in a group. But the caveat is they all have to do the problem, but I only pick one of them to grade. And the grade is very small. But the point is they have to work together. And you really see them start working as a team when there's some kind of a grade involved with it. And so they've got to help the weakest link. Everybody has to know the answer and understand and have it on their paper. So that's kind of cool, and something kind of new. I was very hesitant to try it last year because I thought it wasn't fair. But when you see how the kids start working together, and it's a non-routine problem, it's kind of exciting to see. And again, it's more about explaining strategies and not just making calculations. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about these DLKs, because the SBAC is all about the DLKs, depth of knowledge. So the first level is just recalling facts, and here's a sample problem. Find the surface area of a rectangular prism that measures 3 units by 4 units by 5 units. Just multiply the 3 numbers. A little bit higher, skills and concepts. Now you have to describe or explain. So now you have to list the measurements of 3 different rectangular prisms that each have a surface area of 20. So it stretches the information a little bit. A depth of knowledge 3 is more strategic thinking. What's the greatest volume you can make with a rectangular prism that has a surface area of 20? So now they're really thinking outside the box. And then the fourth one, those would be the team assessments. I think the 8th grade is going to call them CATs, right? It's a simpler.
Collaborative assessment has
Something collaborative activity and teams.
collaborative
That's what I thought it
activity and
was.
team, that's what I mean.
I made that up. I wasn't sure if that was accurate, but it makes
That's right.
sense. But it's the same thing, and sometimes you call them. Performance tasks, Mars tasks, if you've seen them in the past, those are level 4s. We have some formative assessment lessons that we get from outside of CPM that can be level 4s. And the level 4 has to be something that takes more than 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, maybe a couple days to go through the entire problem and all the sub-problems that are involved with it. Have we done it?
All right.
Hey, what happened to that slide you made?
Go back to the beginning.
So everything that you've seen tonight will be available. We're videotaping this. You don't have to write anything down, but you have to remember this one, math.unionsd.org. Math.unionsd.org. That's going to be your access point. And if you have any questions tonight too, that's a great place. There's a survey on there at that website that you can go to and fill out and ask questions. And somebody will get back to you so that we can have our time for our breakout session next. So that's what we're going to go to. So I'm going to invite all the 6th grade parents that if you're going to be doing the 6th grade problem, you go with Mrs. Shimamoto and Miss Starr over here. 7th grade, you're going to be with Mrs. Shaw and Mr. Golden over here. And if you're coming to 8th grade, you're going to follow Miss Reynolds and I, Mrs. Reynolds and I, to our